An issue I see again and again when consulting clients is they're going after or working with the wrong type of customer.
Wow, my dream guy is the wrong guy.
They think that any sales are good sales, so any leads that come in, they work them, any customers they get, they help serve them. But this can be a major problem for your business, because if you go after the kind of customers that are low profit or high maintenance, that can drain your time, drain your resources, and make it so you can't grow. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the customer matrix, a tool I use when working with clients to help them identify their ideal customers and create a strategy to get more of them. If you like today's video, be sure to like it, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss future content. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We personally respond to them and we love talking to you. So your customers can make or break your business. And you probably already know that. When you look at your schedule and who you're going to work with, who you're going to meet with that day, some customers give you energy and you're excited about them, while others drain you. And just the same when you look at your bank account, some give you lots of money and some cost you lots of money. And the problem is, if you're not strategic about it, you're going to fill up your customer list with lots of high maintenance or low profit customers at the expense of getting low maintenance, high profit customers. This is something that I find businesses tend to fall into on accident. They start working with different leads, they work with different people, they feel bad saying no to people, they have customers they've had for 5+ years and they don't want to turn them down again. And eventually, they can't grow because they're stuck servicing the wrong type of customer. So a really easy way to start to build out a strategic way of acquiring the right type of customers and servicing the right type of customers is something called the customer matrix. And in true consulting fashion, you have a 2x2 matrix. Along the columns, you have high profit and low profit, and then down the rows, you have low maintenance and high maintenance. This simple little grid gives you a very good picture of the kind of customers you want to be going after. In the top left quadrant, you have your ideal customer. These are customers that are high profit, but low maintenance. You want as many of these customers as possible. These are the ones that are jet fuel for the growth for your business. At the top right quadrant, you have low profit, but low maintenance. These are kind of your comfort clients, the ones that are easy to work with, but they don't really make you any money. At the bottom left part of the matrix, you have a high profit, but also high maintenance. These are customers that pay you really well, but they're kind of hard to work with. And then finally, at the bottom right corner, you have low profit and high maintenance. And these are the kind of accounts that are terrible to work with and they make you no money, or a lot of times they cost you money. Obviously, you want as little or none of these customers as possible. So how do you actually use this matrix? What I recommend is you look at your past sales. Say, pull a report for the last 12 months or last 24 months. Pull that report and then rank it by account from sales. So your highest sales to your lowest sales. If you have profit information, that's great, but obviously you don't always have profit information. What I find is having revenue is a good enough fill for it, especially once you start to actually analyze the accounts and you're talking amongst your team. You can say, yes, that's a high revenue account, but they're hard to work with. They cost us a lot. We have a lot of overrun on it. Or yes, that's a high revenue account and we actually make a lot of money on them. Then at the bottom of the list, you'll have your low sales accounts, and those typically correlate with low profit as well. So pull that list, rank those accounts, and then what I typically do is start to pull in example accounts. So looking again at that customer matrix, for each of the 4 squares, pull some different account numbers or some customer names from that revenue list and start placing them on that actual quadrant. This often takes some discussion amongst your team and going through and saying, okay, who's an account in this top 20% of our customers that we know is easy to work with? Who is one that is challenging to work with? And again, vice versa, look at the bottom of your list, say, which accounts are not making us any money, but they're easy to work with, and then which accounts are not making us any money or actually very difficult to work with. I recommend pulling 3 to 5 customer accounts for each one of those quadrants. Simply doing this part of the exercise is super helpful for teams, and I find it helps them really identify where they actually want to be spending their time in their business. But I typically go a step further, and that is to look at identifiers for each one of those quadrants. For instance, in that ideal customer, the one that is high profit and low maintenance, maybe you identify things like certain buyer roles or certain ways they approach or think about the product or service that you sell. In doing this in the past for my business, I find that typically we work well with owners of businesses or executives of businesses, and also they value digital strategy. They see it as something that's really important for their success. Whereas when I'm looking at typically maybe high profit but high maintenance customers, those are ones where we're not working with the right person in the organization, so there's lots of stepping stones to go through. Or another example from our business, if we look at low profit and high maintenance, those are typically the wrong buyers. They'd have no ability to say yes to big projects, and they don't value digital strategy. They see it as an unnecessary burden they have to deal with. So I recommend going through each one of those quadrants and looking at the accounts, saying, who are their buyers? What are their buying patterns? How do they look at their budget and the value of what you have to offer? And start to come up with, again, 3 to 5 identifiers for each one of those quadrants. Okay, so now that you've done that, then you can go through and actually build out a strategy. So again, you look at that high profit, low maintenance. Those are your ideal customers. For that group, you want to make sure that for your existing customers, you're treating them very well, putting your best people on them, and servicing them really well. And then from a marketing perspective and from a sales perspective, that is your ideal buyer. That's who you build your customer persona on. That's who you create content for. That's who you prospect to. That is the only type of customer that you should be seeking to grow in your business. For that high profit, high maintenance, this is kind of like a fixer type thing, right? So you have to identify what goes wrong in those accounts that causes them to be high maintenance. Are there processes you can put in place? Are there scope change protocols you can put in place? What can you do to maybe fix those accounts so they are no longer high maintenance, they are low maintenance and high profit? If you simply can't make them low maintenance, they're just a high maintenance customer, you might need to charge them more to actually reflect the fact they're costing you more in labor hours or in resources within your business. That low profit, low maintenance account is kind of tricky. And what I typically find is that these are okay accounts and that you can let them run your business. They're not really costing you a bunch of resources, but they're not really helping you grow either. For these accounts, I typically recommend either automating as much as possible with them, so you're reducing the amount of hours you're actually putting into those accounts, or simply letting them ride but not trying to seek any more of those types of accounts. And finally, in that low profit and high maintenance accounts, you get rid of those. And often what I typically find is if you just start charging them more to reflect their high maintenance, they will leave you on their own because they probably are very budget sensitive, and they will leave at the first sign of you actually holding them accountable for being a good customer. When it comes to getting new customers, make sure your sales teams and your marketing teams, or maybe it's you, are quickly identifying those identifiers that are in that low profit and high maintenance accounts, and you're qualifying against those and quickly getting them out of your sales pipeline. So now that you have this strategy, again, the big thing here is to go after those ideal accounts. And what I recommend people do is that maybe like once a year, at the end of the year, go through your revenue list for the last 12 months and then go back and look at this customer matrix and say, okay, in this last year, did we go after the right type of accounts? Are we trying to actually get rid of the wrong type of accounts? Is our marketing messaging attracted to the right type of customers? Is our sales process qualifying the right type of customers and making sure we're talking to them in the right way? It's a really simple tool, but it can have profound implications in the way you run your business and the way you're able to grow and scale your business. At the end of the day, we want to work with the best type of customer possible. And it's not just for money, it actually makes our job more enjoyable. So let me know in the comments what you think. Are you doing this in your business? Have you identified your ideal customers? Have you identified those no-go customers? If you have any questions at all, let me know.